Welcome, and thank you for your interest in volunteering at the Alexandria Archaeology Lab. The lab is located in the Torpedo Factory, right inside our museum. One of the unique aspects of working in the lab is that members of the public can come through and watch what you're doing and even ask questions. The lab and the volunteers who work in it are critical to our mission. This is where we tie the fieldwork to ongoing research. Here, we clean, catalog, and examine the artifacts found at the field excavations. Items are sorted, classified, and stored for future reference. Volunteers do much of this essential work. Alexandria Archaeology could not exist without them. As a lab volunteer, you will be handling many fragile artifacts. Be sure to hold pots and other large artifacts with 2 hands, one underneath and one supporting the side. Never pick up a vessel by the handle or the rim because it may not be as sturdy as it appears. Also, open the drawers of the study collection slowly and smoothly so the artifacts don't pop up and break. The first step in the lab process is to clean the artifacts. Cleaning will help preserve them and will also make them easier to identify and study. All artifacts will come in from the excavation site in labeled bags. The labels contain critical information about where the artifacts were found within the site. It is vital that this information is accurate and is kept with the artifacts throughout the process. If we don't know exactly where an item came from, it loses most of its archaeological value. Let's take a look at the numbering system you will find on the artifact bags. First is the name of the site, followed by the site number. The site number, 44AX175, breaks down as follows. 44 refers to Virginia, the 44th state in alphabetical order. AX is the county code for Alexandria. 175 refers to the 175th archaeological site in Alexandria that has been registered with the Commonwealth of Virginia. Other numbers give detailed information about which part of the site the bag's artifacts came from. The designation S120 W75 refers to a location 120 feet south and 75 feet west of the datum point. Some bags may also have a feature or level number written here. The feature number refers to a distinctive area of the site. The last number is probably the most important, the context number. This is a unique record number. At the site, we start with a 1 and keep a list, noting where each context was found. You will need the following tools to clean artifacts: a bag of artifacts, a drying tray, butcher paper, 2 wash basins, toothbrushes, a manila label, an indelible marker, and masking tape. Lay the butcher paper out on a table. Before you do anything else, label your tray using an indelible marker on the manila label. Include all of the information from the artifact bag on this label. Make sure that each tray contains artifacts from only one context number, even if that means that there are only 1 or 2 objects on the tray. Fill the 2 basins with plain water. Don't add any soap or chemicals because this might cause a reaction with some artifacts. Now, empty some of the artifacts from the bag onto the butcher paper and separate them by type of material. If metal objects are already wet, they can be cleaned along with the other items. But if they are dry, metals should be handled separately to avoid causing rust. Most iron objects can be cleaned with a dry toothbrush. Just give the objects a quick brushing to remove the loose dirt. Don't try to remove all of the dirt or pick off the dirt clumps because you may damage a fragile artifact. Some metals, such as copper or lead, may require special treatment. Ask your supervisor for instructions before cleaning any of these objects. All the other artifacts can be cleaned with water and a toothbrush. Clean the objects one at a time, and don't leave an item soaking in the wash basin because some artifacts might absorb too much water and fall apart. Give each artifact a good brushing. be sure to clean the edges as well as the flat surfaces of pottery. Rinse each cleaned artifact in the second water basin. If you don't rinse the artifact, it will dry covered with a dirty film. When the water in your basins becomes dirty, pour it out through a sieve and check the sieve for artifacts. Put the artifacts on the tray to dry, sorted by material, by wear, and by color. This will make it easier to catalog the artifacts later. Using masking tape, label the drawer handle with the site and context number. Place the completed tray in the drying rack. We mark ceramic and glass vessel fragments with their site number and context number because these artifacts are often removed from their bags to cross-mend with other pieces from other areas of the site. Other types of items, such as clay pipes or buttons, also get marked if they go on exhibit. For now, however, you will only mark the ceramic and glass pieces. Choose the marking location carefully. You want to mark the artifact in an inconspicuous place. Try to mark near an edge, on an undecorated side, on the underside of a base if there is one, or on the inside of a curve. Make sure you don't mark on a broken edge. The tools you'll need for marking artifacts are butcher paper, a .005 micron Pigma pen, and a bottle of acryloid B72. You'll also want to have acetone, cotton swabs, and some Kim wipes nearby. Artifacts will be dry enough to mark about 24 hours after they are washed. Lay the butcher paper out on a table and place the tray of artifacts on it. Using the brush from the bottle, apply a very small strip of acryloid B72 to the artifact at the spot you want to mark. This creates a protective base coat between the artifact and the marking ink. Use the clear B72 whenever possible. The white B72 is only for dark-colored objects where black ink can't be seen. B72 dries very quickly, so be sure to keep the bottle closed when it's not in use and keep the lip of the bottle clean so that the cap closes tightly. Wipe the brush on the butcher paper rather than the edge of the bottle. Apply the B72 to several pieces at a time. Be sure to line the artifact up so you can find the little strips of B72 after they dry. After allowing several minutes for the pieces to dry, mark each one with the site number and context number. Legibility is very important, so use your neatest handwriting. Practice writing on the butcher paper before you begin marking the artifacts. Your supervisor should approve your handwriting before you try marking pieces for the first time. Use the Micron Pigma pen to mark the artifacts. These pens have a very fine point and should not be used for any other purpose. Hold the pen very lightly as you write. If you press down, the line will be too thick. The numbers should be very small, but large enough to read without a magnifying glass. Your supervisor could show you examples of acceptable sizes. If you make an error while marking, remove the number and the B72 with acetone on a cotton swab or Kim wipe. Then you can reapply the B72 and mark the item again. Once you are done marking the items, be sure to cap the pen so it doesn't dry out and return all your supplies to the cabinet. Once the artifacts are marked, they will be cataloged and then bagged. You'll receive special training in cataloging if you're interested in learning to identify the artifacts. When cataloging, you'll sort the artifacts by type, making your best guess as to each object's identification, and then, after a supervisor has reviewed your work, enter the identifications onto a catalog sheet. All the artifacts from a context number are sorted by category and put into bags. Each category's objects are placed in a separate bag, along with a pre-printed acid-free cardstock label. Write the provenience information on the label using a waterproof marker. Don't put an artifact description on the label. Create separate bags for each of the following artifact categories: ceramics, glass, window glass, nails, other iron objects that don't require special conservation, miscellaneous non-metal items, samples such as brick, coal, and mortar, shells, and seeds. If you have a large number of ceramic pieces, you can sort them by wear and put each wear in its own bag. Similarly, if there are a lot of glass pieces, you can sort them by color and put each color in a separate bag. Once you have the individual categories bagged, place all of the bags into one larger bag. The original manila tag goes into this larger bag. Some special treatment items are not put in the large bag for the context number. Items needing conservation or special drier storage conditions, such as lead, copper alloy, and white metals, as well as some iron artifacts, are placed in separate bags by material and put in the tray or box marked conservation. Bones are also special treatment items. They are bagged and put in the tray or box marked bones for later identification by a specialist. All the bags are left with the catalog sheet until they are checked by your supervisor. Once they've been checked, they will be inventoried into the computerized database system. There are several tools and resources available to help you here in the lab. One of the most important is the Laboratory Volunteer Resource Book. This is a 3-ring binder which contains background information about each site where we're working. It also contains the Alexandria Artifact Codebook, which provides information about the identification and dating of artifacts, as well as the terminology used when cataloging artifacts. In addition, the Volunteer Resource Book includes reference photos of artifacts from our study collection and instructions for using the lab's ultraviolet light to identify different wares. And, just in case you need to refresh your memory, it includes basic instructions on how to wash, mark, catalog, and bag artifacts. In addition to the Volunteer Resource Book, the lab has a library of reference books to help you identify and catalog objects. There is also a study collection of artifacts, so you can compare objects on your tray to already identified pieces. If you need to look at an artifact more closely, magnifying glasses, lights, and a microscope are available. Of course, the best resource at the lab is the staff. You should always ask a staff member for help if you have any problems or questions about any aspect of your work. Now that we've cleaned, marked, identified, and bagged the artifacts, what happens to them? Some will go on exhibit. Others go into our study collection or are loaned to other facilities or museums. The rest are stored in acid-free boxes in our climate-controlled storage facility, where they will be available for future study. All of these artifacts are important to us. The data gathered from them helps us to learn more about Alexandria's past, and publishing our findings in site reports and other publications allows us to share this knowledge with others.